Welcome back to another episode of Is the Book Better? A podcast where we discuss films and TV based on great literature, trying to answer the question of is the book better? My name's Billy.
And I'm Adam.
How's it going, Adam?
It's going great. How's it going, Billy?
Yeah, fantastic. Glad we finally got around to doing this again.
Again, yeah, it's been a bit of time.
It's been way too long. I've been a disorganised man.
It's quite alright. I'm also a disorganised person. That's also combined with being a very lazy person. So
Yeah.
the two don't help.
Right, what's on the agenda today, dude?
The agenda today is we are going to be discussing Wonder, the book written by R.J Palacio, compared to the film Wonder, directed by Stephen Chbosky, or however you pronounce his last name.
Chbosky, I think.
Chbosky, I don't know. But yeah, Wonder came out late last year. The film did, and then the book not too far before that, 2012 it came out. So.
That's right. The book this year had the great honour of being the first book I read in 2018.
Yeah.
I'm sure R.J Palacio is absolutely over the moon.
Yeah, I'm sure she's absolutely thrilled with that. But I think it was, I think the first book I read as well in 2018, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the plan was to get it read and still watch it while the movie was in cinemas.
Yes.
That did not go well.
Did not go well.
So we missed our chance and had to resort to illegal activities in order to watch the film.
Bill, no, nothing, no, shush, shut this podcast down!
Should I insert some sirens in the background?
Yes, insert sirens. They're coming for us, Billy! Gotta hide again!
But no, so we tracked down a way to watch the film, and we're finally ready to talk about it. Probably a few weeks after it was relevant, because 3 or 4 weeks in internet time is literally centuries.
The Oscars, it was nominated for an Oscars with Best Makeup and Hairstyling, which it didn't win. So that was a week or so ago. So.
That was nearly our window for it to be relevant again if it won one. Yeah.
But, so that's how it's relevant now. It was nominated for that.
Yeah.
So,
brief chat tangent since you brought up the Oscars. Did any films based on books win an Oscar this year, do you know?
No idea. I'm not even sure who won which Oscars, to be quite honest with you.
I only know that Shape of Water got the Best Picture.
I think Darkest Hour, that was based on a book, but there are a lot of books on Churchill, obviously, out there on, so that's quite the...
Yeah, Gary Oldman was amazing in that. He deserved to win that one.
I've not seen it, but, fine actor. Yes, he is.
Keep up with the pretentious movies, Adam. God.
No, I like to stay at home and not go to awful cinemas.
But no, I just thought it would have been cool if there was one or two that was originally books, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Call Me By Your Name, that was the winner of Best Adapted Screenplay, which is about that coming-of-age romantic drama film. Yeah,
I didn't see that. That's the one that everyone was going on about. Isn't it just a load of Italian people without shirts on?
As is most Italian films, yes. Nothing new there.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's Italian, to be quite honest, but I think the book is, but... Yeah. Oh no, if the book's from the United States, so no, it's not.
Oh, fair enough. I'm just wrong then.
Yeah, you just like Italian men with their shirts off, Billy.
I mean, who doesn't?
Me. Sorry.
Sorry, Italy.
Sorry, Italy.
We don't want to see your nipples.
No, not your nipples. Spain, your nipples are fine, but not Italy's. Anyway.
Before we go massively off target, I'm going to do it to you again, Adam.
Wow.
What's the plot of Wonder?
The plot of Wonder is about a boy called Oggy, or August Pullman, who goes to school for the first time in 5th grade or year 5, depending on whereabouts you are in the world. And he, from being homeschooled to going to school, obviously very nervous about it because he has a lot of facial disfigurements and deformities that he's had very many surgeries to try and repair and correct. To try and repair them, but he ends up going to school, ends up befriending a few people, ends up, because of the way he looks, obviously gets vilified and bullied essentially by a few members of his classes and stuff and what have you. And it's kind of a character study really. It's not too heavy on plot. It's more just it's more of a book about kids learning to grow up in certain ways. And effects of parents and being a parent and parentage. There's not a plot per se. It's more just of a character study and in this one boy in particular, how he gains like his own self-confidence.
Yeah, in a way you could almost call it a coming-of-age story.
Yes, it is a very young,
even though he's not actually coming of age, obviously, because he's, still very, very young.
Yeah, the motto, I think, for both the film and the book is, if you have the choice to be, right or kind, etc., always choose kind. Always be the nice person despite what others may think, or if you feel you know better, just choose the one that's the most honest and the most kind.
Yeah, 100%. So that's your basic plot for anyone who hasn't read it or watched the movie. You're up to speed, you're going to understand what we're going on about from now. You'll understand our babble, but we should warn you, as we do with every podcast, this is the point where spoilers are probably going to begin.
Yeah, but even then, even if I knew the main beats of this story, I wouldn't consider them spoilers necessarily. There's no huge... But there's one or two, but no huge
there's no big
twists.
Yeah, there's no big
reveals or anything like that. It's more just like a development of 5 or so main characters.
Yeah,
to see how they
it's the kind of movie that you can't spoil really, because, like you say, it's not a white knuckle gripping movie.
No.
There's no "I see dead people" or "Luke, I'm your father" moment.
Yeah, sure.
It's just a year in the life of this very unfortunate kid and his family. That being said, if you do want to read it or watch it and you don't want to be spoiled, now is your chance to bugger off.
Abandon ship. Watch either or, because they're both pretty similar, to be quite honest.
Yeah, they're massive. The film is a massively faithful adaptation.
Yeah, it is very faithful to the book. Which, I'm not hugely surprised at, because it is a children's book, and not a long one either, and it's relatively simple in its language. So there wasn't a lot of need for change between the two plots. Yeah, no.
Equally as well, which is something we're doubtless going to touch on as we get into the episode, Stephen Chbosky, the man who directed Wonder, the film, is a writer himself. He's actually the writer who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower.
That's right.
Which is a book that I'm a big fan of, and he directed the film version of that very same book.
That's right.
So this is obviously a man who's no stranger to attempting to adapt fiction, and also someone who's a writer himself, so who kind of understands...
Yeah, he understands the differences between writing a screenplay for a film as well as just, for literature.
Yeah, and what authors want from an adaptation. Being an author himself, he's obviously got that understanding of how people want their work to be represented.
Yeah.
So hopefully R.J. Palacio is... pleased with the interpretation of the film, I would assume.
I don't know for certain whether or not she is, but I would have thought so if I was R.J. Palacio.
Yeah.
There are some creative differences between the two. Some, because it's film, they can do certain things differently than they do in the book. But it's done to good effect. There's a nice bit of creative license throughout the film.
Well, that's probably quite a good question then for getting into the actual discussion. If you were R.J. Palacio, do you think that you'd be pleased with that adaptation?
Yeah, I definitely would be. If an author's main contention is how faithful is it to the book and not just the name of it, and you go crazy with the plot or what have you, but no, it's pretty much it. I was going to say word for word, but that'd be a bit too much, but it kind of is for like story beats and stuff like that, and certain events that happen in the film and in the book. It's pretty much kind of exact. You could probably watch the film and kind of
read along
through the book and read along in some instances, definitely.
I think you're right. I think that as with most kind of teen fiction adaptations, there's a lot of narrating directly from the book throughout the movie. Personally, that's an annoyance of mine. I find that if you've got to narrate straight out of the book, that's because you're too lazy to tell the story through the medium of film. And I don't think that you can just film a kid moping around a school looking confused with lines from the book overdubbed on it and call that a film adaptation, personally.
Sure. So is that like a problem you find with that film then? Because there are points of that, but like it kind of uses some cinematic because there's sections where he is around the school, but he's in his NASA outfit, and there's one point where he's walking through the school corridors, and everyone's going, yeah, great Augie, woo, giving him high fives, and everything like that. And then it cuts to him just being in normal clothes, everyone can see his face and what have you, and everyone's just not interested or sneering or making looks to things, which I thought was a really effective method, what they used
that was interesting direction. Yeah. When I made that criticism, I was meaning book adaptations in general. I generally, if I hear a lot of narration, especially at the beginning of a book adaptation, I think, here we go. This is someone who doesn't believe in their strength as a director and is leaning on the book too much.
Sure.
I actually didn't find it too annoying in Wonder. I think I think the only times when I did was in Via's section.
Okay, yeah.
The reason being because they didn't do a lot with that. It was her walking around the school and it was the narration for quite a long time. But like you say, whenever they did that kind of overdub narration straight from the book with August, they did a great job of adding interesting elements.
Yes. They tried to make it a bit more thematically interesting and not just someone reading into a microphone and then just kind of describing what's happening already on the screen.
Like you say, he'd be bouncing around in his space suit, or there'd be a blooming Star Wars character or something. Chewbacca would appear next to him or whatever.
Because August's, his dream is to be like a NASA astronaut, and the helmet as well is obviously because he wants to be in space, but also hides his
to hide his face,
well.
which because he's obviously so anxious about how hideous he believes himself to be and everything. The film made a lot more out of the helmet, I thought, than the book did.
Yes, because in the book it's kind of mentioned there right at the first 30-40 pages, then not seen, and then it's revealed that Oggie's dad threw it away in the garbage.
That's right.
He's trying to look for it. It's like, where's my helmet gone? And his dad goes to the effect of, well, I threw it away because I just want to see your face.
Yeah, I miss your face. You can't keep walking around.
I don't care what anyone else thinks. What anyone else thinks, I love it.
Yeah. That's its kind of only role in the movie. Is in the book. Sorry, there's a brief bit of tension between August and his dad over that argument, but generally the helmet is not a major part of the book. But the film, it's all over all the promotional material. It's the centerpiece of the trailer for the movie is him taking his helmet off for the first time, and they make a big thing about it.
Yeah, they do.
Do you think that's cool? Do you think that that's something that's
Yeah, because I think for films you need that kind of that symbolism almost, that thing to associate it with, this film that obviously you're promoting and stuff and what have you. And it's a good image as well. To have it kind of stands on its own and is effective in of itself.
But there's a lot of kind of sciencey, sci-fi kind of references throughout the book that they attempted to capture in the movie as well.
And how they did that. I thought that was really well done, actually. And that wasn't in the book, at least I don't remember it. Because it's been a bit of time since I've read it. But I don't remember any, things to, chemistry and stuff or physics that are then related somehow into, what was it in the film? Like an unstoppable force and an immovable object.
They made more about it in the film,
so Oggie's the immovable object, everyone else is just kind of moving around him, explaining it through physics, how that works.
Yeah, well, that was Via's thing, wasn't it? That August is the sun and the whole family revolve around him.
Yeah, that's right. There is that in the book, I remember that, but those specific, lessons, I don't think they were in that.
No.
They were a good addition to the film.
Yeah, definitely. And just the overall geeky stuff, I like how, obviously, August is a massive Star Wars fan in the book, and they use that as a great excuse to occasionally get Star Wars characters just popping up.
I know, Star Wars characters appear in the film.
You got Darth Sidious stood in the classroom.
Yeah, and then Chewbacca as well, just high-fiving him, and just being around. That was cool. Probably my favourite Star Wars film of this decade. Probably.
Wow, that's controversial.
Probably.
Catherine put the sirens in again.
Yes, put the sirens in again, I dare you.
Oh no. But definitely a fan of those kind of things. It kept an otherwise kind of slow burn movie a little bit interesting to see these pop culture references appearing.
Yes, it definitely did. But it kept it visually interesting throughout most of the film, definitely.
Because like you say, with the book being so character driven, that's obviously easy for this to be kind of plain looking as a movie. So I do like that Stephen Chbosky obviously put a lot of effort into kind of adding a little bit of visual something, bit of spice
a bit more
over.
Visual flair to everything.
Yeah.
I appreciated. And because the book as well is for kids, it's written relatively simply, which sometimes I don't mind, but oftentimes I like a bit more meat and complexness to fiction, not to be like, ooh, twirling my critical moustache of like books or anything like that, not to be pompous about it.
But just like something a little bit more to sink your teeth into. I found myself a little bit struggling to place where the book's target audience was, because on the one hand, like you say, it was written so simply. Obviously the language is suitable for children.
Yes, it's very suitable.
Yeah, and these teeny tiny chapters, the book was so readable, and readable if you were maybe 10 or 11. At the same time, I found that there was a lot of depth.
It's definitely a book like a 9 to 12-year-old could read, enjoy, understand what the morals and things were of the book itself, and then could take it to Mum or Dad to read, and they would read it and get something else.
Yeah, that's it. There was so much heart in it. I found myself wondering as I was reading it, I'm like, is this meant to be a kid's book, or is this more of a young adult?
I definitely see it as a kid's book, but of just a very well written kid's book.
Yeah.
But for around that age range, I would have guessed anyway.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I certainly didn't know it was a kid's book when I started.
I didn't actually. I didn't know it was kind of that target range at all.
And I probably wouldn't have bothered reading it if I'd have known it was a kid's book. And I'm glad that I didn't know, because I actually enjoyed it, and I'm glad that we chose it. But I assumed that it was quite an adult and sad book, because I knew, obviously, that it's this story about this kid who's playing life on hard mode with this deformity and everything. So yeah, that was something that kind of shocked me about it. I think another thing that shocked me about the book was, because I don't know about you, I'd seen the book in Waterstones for years.
Yeah, for a good while. I saw the cover of it,
cover everywhere,
and being recommended by booksellers.
Yeah, because it was a bestseller and it did really well and everything. So I was aware of the book, and then when the trailer came out for the movie. I saw the trailer, and that was when I got the first taste of what it was probably about. And I saw, obviously, Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts and this kid with all the makeup to make him look like he's got this disease. And I thought, this is going to be a family drama, and I assumed that the kid playing August would probably be the only kid character in it. Then I read the book, and it's all in school.
Yeah.
And almost every character is
a kid.
As a kid, 9 or 10. And I remember literally getting halfway through the book and going, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to have to watch a movie full of kid actors.
Kid actors have come a long way from, say, like 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But at the time I was like going, oh, what have I done to myself? I don't want to have to sit and spend 2 hours of my life watching 9-year-olds attempt to act.
Yeah, man.
Did you have that same kind of concern going into it?
No, not really. Because to be fair, I had heard good things about the film and obviously the book itself. If I had heard maybe middling to negative things, I'd be like, they've chosen very poor kid actors to do it. But no, I didn't have that concern. To be honest, probably because I spoiled myself a bit on how the book was, the film was received critically.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm just a grouch then who hates kids.
Yes, you are.
As it happened, I didn't have really any reason to worry, because it was mostly superbly acted from the kids, I thought.
Yeah, sure. From acting standpoint for the film, yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Tremblay, the kid who played August, was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really well good, actually.
Couldn't fault a single thing about him. And I didn't realise this at the time, I've only found out like recently when I was researching for this podcast, but he's actually the kid from Room.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another fantastic book with an okay-ish movie. And Jacob Tremblay was the standout in that film. He was the reason that film was impressive, just to see such a young actor give such a brilliant performance.
Yeah,
and he really brought it again for this movie. I thought he was absolutely sick.
Who would you say was the least favourite like actor or character in the film as compared to the book?
I suspect that you've got... Do you mean the character or the actor?
Let's go with actor then character.
Cool, okay. So I suspect that you've probably got the same one in mind as me. The little girl who played Summer.
Yes. It's from a character, she's barely in the film. Barely in it, which... I didn't mind it. In fact, I've completely forgot she was in it until she like sat down at the table. I was like, I'm friends with you now. Yeah. My name's Summer. I was like, oh, it's Summer. Yeah. I remember, I just completely...
Such an important part of the book. Only really had one scene worth its salt in the film.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 or so, but yeah, definitely not as many as there is in the book. Definitely.
Yeah, because Summer is a huge part of August's life in the
and from like his diary and how he writes.
And in the story after he falls out with Jack Will at the Halloween incident and everything, Summer becomes his only friend for a long time. Yeah. I'm talking chapters and chapters worth of time where it's August and Summer's story a little bit.
Just sitting in the break room having lunch and just chatting kid stuff essentially. Yeah.
In fact, doesn't she have a... We should explain, the book travels into loads of different characters' point of view.
Yeah, and it'll go forward, and so the book starts with from Oggy's perspective, from like him getting toured around the school, and then him actually going to school up until about Christmas or so. Then it jumps perspective to like Via, his sister. And that'll again start from him touring around the school to then being at school, but obviously from her perspective. So she starts like high school or whatever it is.
Yeah, it jumps a little bit in time and a little bit between characters' perspectives. Summer was one of the characters who had a pretty hefty chunk of the book.
She had her own chapter.
Yeah, and nothing for her was in the film. Same with Via's boyfriend, Justin.
Yeah.
Was his name Justin?
Yes.
Pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a particularly cool scene in the book where he kind of defended August from some...
That's right,
some bullies.
Isn't Julian's friends?
I think it's Julian.
They're talking about him and he overhears and is like, stop it.
He tells them he's got a machine gun in his violin case.
Because that's what Oggy said. That's what you've got in your violin case, not a fiddle. And then he takes that idea, what he said, and makes it as a threat almost.
Yeah, that was unfortunately cut from the movie, and I think that was a shame because that was actually a really cool scene in the book, and it was one of the things that really endeared you to the character of Justin, who is more or less kind of a nothing character in the film.
He's definitely a lesser part in the film. I wouldn't say he's like a weak character necessarily, but he's definitely lesser than there is, and same for him and Summer. But
nothing important was taken away.
Yeah, nothing huge or revelatory was taken away.
Yeah. Only that I did like that scene with Justin. I think it would have been cool to have kept it. But yeah, obviously you've got the more important story to tell is August's story.
Yes, that is definitely the main focus. So having not those bits or those characters in it, I didn't mind that as much. Like I say, I forgot about it until it was brought up. Like, oh yeah, okay, sure, and was enjoying the film fine.
Yeah, 100%.
Up until then. So actor-wise, then, kind of said characters. Who's the least favourite actor, would you say, in the film?
I think it was pretty well acted.
Yeah, no weak moments there, you think?
There was a scene towards the end of the film with a load of bullies.
Yeah.
And
that scene in particular was probably my lowest point of the film.
Well, I think that what got me about that was with the book and the film both essentially are about bullying in a lot of ways. About how how August is going to get bullied endlessly for most of his life and not treated the same because of his face. And they manage really well to make the bullying seem realistic and accurate of what might actually happen if you're attempting to get through high school with that condition. And they manage to make it feel realistic all the way up until that scene, and then all of a sudden it's just Stephen King bullies.
Yeah, like they've walked into Maine all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then just like hilariously kind of, oh my god, it's an orc. Someone put a kick me sign on his back.
It's Dobby the house elf.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was It's hard to say whether that was badly acted or badly directed, but whatever it was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't the best at that moment, definitely not. But expanding on that scene where he eventually goes to that to summer camp. Is it just summer camp that goes to for like those 2 days?
It's not a summer camp, but it's a camp, like 3-day kind of getaway.
Like a school trip where he stays over in like nearby woods for like a few days or so.
That's right.
And that's probably my favourite chapter, scene, event in the whole book, to be quite honest with you, because
in the book it's good.
Yeah, it's really, really well done in the book, and how he actually ends up meeting those bullies and what have you, and that scene itself in the dark, him losing his hearing aid.
That's right, because his hearing aid isn't in
not in the film at all. No.
And in the book, that thing is a massive kind of source of stress for August, because he's only just got used to walking around with his face looking the way it does, and then he's been introduced to these humongous earpieces he has to wear, and he's even more embarrassed again.
Yes.
And then they're so expensive, so when he loses them, he's absolutely devastated because he thinks his parents are going to be angry, and it's a big moment in the book.
It is. And it's really well written. It kind of characterises where Augie's fears are, yet his there's this dichotomy with, like, because he's befriended Julian's old friends as well, from him being bullied by these outsider kids. They come in and help defend him, essentially saying, you're one of us, you're one of the Beecher School kids, It's that kind of thing. And it's a really good moment in the book, and in the film it's just kind of shoved to the side and not really paid much attention.
Yeah. I think there's another thing that, and I think that scene was almost entirely lost in the movie and doesn't reflect how it should have been in the book.
I think as well, because it's in the dark, isn't it? So it's kind of described really as kind of like almost like a horror, not really to the extent of.
But it's more atmospheric.
But it's definitely more atmospheric and a bit more nuance to it. And in the film, it's just kind of like in broad daylight. It's still bright.
It's still, even though it's a traumatic scene, it's still lit and shot like a happy kids movie.
Yeah, it really is. There's no mood to it necessarily. It's kind of comes across a bit soap opera-y, which was a bit disappointing.
I mean, another thing they make August in that scene a lot braver, which I think is unrealistic, because in the book, realistically so, I think August isn't cowardly, but he's fucking petrified of these older kids and everything that are picking on him. Whereas in the film, because we have to make him look like some kind of awesome dude, he's kind of standing up, and you see him put his guard up like he's ready to fight.
Does. Yeah.
That's out of character to me. This isn't that August has some amazing qualities and is a likeable, brilliant character, but being bold and brave isn't one of them.
Yeah.
Or rather, he's brave, but he's not brave confrontationally.
Yeah, he wouldn't, like you say, put up fisticuffs for someone who's 3-4 years older than him, about to, like...
Yeah, he's immensely brave in the sense of, like I've said already, he's playing life on hard mode, he's going to school with this horrendous condition. Yeah. He's not brave enough to fight a big kid.
No, and I think in the book it's like several kids. In the film it's like one or so.
There's two kids in the film, yeah. So now, and what was the other thing that I think spoilt that scene as well? Yeah, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. So the fight's over, they've reunited with the kids in the class who previously didn't like August, and they've kind of gone, do you know what, we're cool now.
Sure.
We're in it together. And then the music starts playing.
Yeah.
And it's that, I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Oh no! It's like, why? You don't need this.
It's so on the nose.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I kind of blocked that out, actually, yeah.
It was just needless. It's like, first of all, we've just had a dramatic scene. Shall we not have the cartoony happy music? And second of all, like, yeah, we can all tell they're gonna be friends. It's not hard to figure out. Why do you need to, like...
Here's a character development for you now. It's just like, you don't need this song to half-ass what you're trying to develop in this film. It's just a bit needless. It's very shoehorned in.
Yeah, there weren't many moments that made me cringe, but
that just whole scene.
That was a big cringe. Yeah. Such a shame, because it was, that, like I say, one of the best parts of the book.
Yeah, that was probably my favourite bit from that book. I really enjoyed it.
Another part of the book that to me really was a standout kind of moment, and one of the bits that choked me up a bit, that seemed glossed over a little in the film, was the dog dying.
Okay, yeah.
Do you remember that bit, Daisy?
Yeah. I can't say I was necessarily choked up over it. The bit I was in the just the last moments of that book when Oggy gets his award. That was the point where I was like,
yeah,
emotions in my throat and chest, and maybe eyes. But apart from that, not so much. Really? Yeah, maybe I'm just a monster of some kind, but I really wasn't that choked up throughout.
I think the thing that got me with the dog scene is, well, I think two things. First of all, it's just bloody emotional porn, isn't it? When you're talking about a dog dying, it's so easy to make somebody feel.
It's very easy, like you say, to turn the screws.
Yeah, because who doesn't love dogs, and no one wants to read anything about them dying.
Yeah, any harmless animal.
Yeah. So immediately the emotions are cranked up a little bit there. But I think the thing that really hit me hard about that, and one of the only bits that really hit me hard in the book, was that Daisy, the dog, was the only character who couldn't see August as ugly. Even though his mum and dad obviously thought he was beautiful, and there's characters who are able to see through how he is, August loved Daisy and related to Daisy because Daisy was incapable of seeing him as ugly because she didn't understand. So when he died, it was like the only thing that accepted him dying out in his life. And I don't know, man, it messed me up.
When you say it like that, I can definitely see where you're coming from. I think how they try and rectify it in the book is
we
film.
keep muddling up film and book, don't we?
Why do we do this? Surely we'd have got it right by now.
You'd think.
Yeah, the way how they rectify it in the film is when it's basically his parents. They're the kind of thing. They're the Daisy equivalent. Is how I see them in the film, because they obviously, they're his son. They don't see him as ugly and what have you. It's like what saying earlier with his dad saying to him, I love your face, blah blah blah. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. That's what they're trying to repurpose it instead of a dog doing it, which I could see why, because obviously you get that more clearly. It's
easier to get Owen Wilson to act than a dog.
Absolutely. Yeah. On a brief note, I'm disappointed Owen Wilson didn't say his famous catchphrase.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. I was looking forward to a wow from Owen. But
I honestly waited the whole movie for a wow moment.
So did I. My ears pricked up whenever he was on screen, and I was waiting for it, and no, nothing.
I saw a video on YouTube, and I shouldn't laugh because it's so mean, but it just cracked me up, and it's the scene where he takes the helmet off, and he takes the helmet off and goes, wow, and then just puts it back on.
Nice, I'll have to look at
that. It cracked. It's not nice, but it just made me laugh. I'm a bad person, clearly.
So am I. It's fine.
He was good in it, though.
Yeah. I think that from what you were saying earlier, there's no real weak actors also.
Yeah. I don't generally rate Owen Wilson. He tends to not do serious roles because he obviously knows he's a charismatic, kind of charming actor, and he does those silly comedies and everything.
Yeah.
This, he wasn't required to do any heavy, dramatic acting, but it was a serious enough role, and I think he did it really well.
Yeah, I think he's done a few more serious roles there recently. Definitely after, because he had a bit of time where he just wasn't really in movies also. Yeah. Either want to be away from the limelight or just whatever. But since his more resurgence, let's say, he's definitely done a few more serious roles.
Oh, you see, he's not an actor who I follow. I mean, obviously, when I think of Owen Wilson, I just think Wedding Crashers, Shanghai Nights, Shanghai Noon, which, to be fair, I love those movies. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think of him as a dramatic actor, but that's interesting if he's kind of moving into that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that he has, yeah.
Julia Roberts was good as well.
Yeah, Julia Roberts is pretty good. Yeah.
It was Julia Roberts, wasn't
it? Yes, that's correct.
I always get her muddled up with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, I think you and many other people do, and I am guilty of that as well.
But no, she was good for pretty inoffensive. She didn't have a big role, actually. I felt like the dad was more...
Do you think? I thought they were about the same, because you had the little subplot with her not finishing her masters and wanted to finish her thesis.
Yeah, was her thesis an element in the book?
I think it was mentioned, but I don't think it was a bigger element as it was as it was in the film. Essentially, I think it was touched upon, not so much. But then they're not characters in the book that's from their points of view. They're not like they're not chapters.
Yeah, it avoids the adults and it centres around all the kids.
All the kids, yeah.
Yeah. We need to talk about how much of a dickhead Julian is.
Yes.
Because he just wound me up throughout the whole book.
Oh, yeah. And the film as well. They definitely got the right actor and, the right amount of time of him.
They managed to pick a kid with that... I hate to be mean about a kid, but he had that perfect, little dickhead face. Do you know what I mean? One of those slimy kids.
He knew how to act like a kid with a dickhead face.
Yeah, it was just perfectly well cast. He was one of if I was a teacher scanned across a class of those kids, I'd be able to instantly go, he's the snake.
Well, that's the thing. The teachers don't. They're immune to him being a dickhead. He's just all very oh, sorry, sir, I was helping out putting assembly chairs out. It's oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, of course.
They just kind of gloss over his
of course, because in the beginning of the film and the book, he's one of the kids who's invited to kind of look after August on his first few days of school, because they think this is someone who's going to be kind to August, this is a kid that we know is good. Mm-hmm. So we'll introduce them early and hopefully they'll make friends, and obviously he's just a little shit. He's very prejudiced immediately.
Yeah, he's very privileged as well and has very privileged parents.
Yeah, and he basically goes on a crusade throughout the book to try and turn the school against August, as though he doesn't have it hard enough.
No, there's a bit in the book where it's literally a list of people who side with Julian, people who aren't on either side, and then people on Oggie's side. There's a list categorising that. And
which I thought was brilliant, because that's the kind of petty, silly, clicky bullshit that goes on.
Kids would do. Yeah, it's very realistic in that sense.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant when I said that a lot of the bullying is super realistic. It wasn't all heads been flushed down the toilet.
No, nothing
wedgies.
Like that,
It was psychological bullying.
Yeah, a lot of notes being passed around or being put in lockers, or in this case, photoshopping Oggie out of the school photographs because don't.
Yeah, that was cruel.
Yeah.
No, but I thought that was to the credit of the book and the film that they managed to kind of capture what bullying really is.
Yeah. I liked the section in the film where it's where Julian finally gets his comeuppance. Let's say he's in Mr. Tushman, the head teacher of the school, and he's having a sit down with him and his parents, just saying how he's been sending these notes around and the photoshopping out of the school photographs and everything, and it's just his mum where you see how Julian has become. Yeah,
and you almost feel sorry for Julian because he's not got any hope. His parents are just jerks.
Yeah, his mum just going, no, I was the one who photoshopped Augie out because I don't want people to come round and see the photo and see that boy on the photograph.
Yeah, what did she say that just made me physically sick? I'm like, you're a bad person, you fictional character, you. She goes, I photoshopped him out of the photograph because I want people to see that class photo and ask about my kid, not the deformed kid. And that's cold. Yeah, that's really cold. Yeah, so no wonder Julian's character turns out to just be an asshat.
Yeah, because he's just from, bad parents, Billy, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think that what's kind of nice about that is it kind of takes away the idea of a villain. There aren't bad guys, there's just mistakes and misunderstandings.
And from different personal points of view as well.
Yeah, which is why the POV kind of switches around, because I think one thing that's interesting is Via and Miranda's relationship. Via talks at length about how hard it is for her to have a brother
with these, because he's the younger child, and obviously has to have a lot of attention medically as well.
Yeah, so she feels neglected.
She feels neglected, so we see it from her perspective and how she is
and she's
not seen.
She kind of acknowledges how she knows that she can't complain because he has it worse, but it's still hard for her.
It's difficult for her. Yeah.
And then you get Miranda's perspective, and she's got this perverse kind of fantasy if she wishes August was his brother.
Yeah, because when she was at a summer camp, she basically pretended to be Via. In a sense, she said, "Oh yeah,"
kind of stole her life story.
Yeah, in a sense, and when she said, "Oh, my brother has, these facial deformities, it's really difficult, blah, blah, blah. And she became the most popular girl in that camp and kind of rode on a high.
Yeah, by
that.
Pretending to have Via's life.
Yeah, not so much in a malicious way, because it's like established beforehand she's very good friends with with August's family.
And the Pullmans really take Miranda in, so she feels at home with them and wishes they were her family kind of thing. It's not out of attention-seeking or malice, it's out of being unhappy with her family life and kind of wishing she was in that one.
She was that, because
So you don't feel like she's a creep or a weirdo. You feel really weirdly endeared to her and sorry for her.
You definitely do in the book and the film as well. I thought that was handled really well. It
was one of the things they managed to capture perfectly in the film. It made sense for Miranda to feel that way, and I just thought it was really interesting the way that they did these perspectives, where they make it just these grey areas of some people might want what other people think is utterly horrendous, and we can't understand each other's the way that we feel and the way that we live our life all the time.
There are two sides to every story in many cases, and this shows or can show either side of that story and come across really, really well.
Yeah, and it's like how with the scene where we realise that Julian's parents are turning him into a giant jerk, likely August wouldn't want Julian's life.
No, absolutely not.
But no one would want August's life, and Miranda obviously desperately wants to have Veer's life, and Veer doesn't want her life. It's weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's layered. It's one of the things that made me wonder whether it was more of a teen fiction book than a kids fiction book.
Yeah. Many layers to wonder. Quite a lot. Thing I'd like to point out as well, in the book there's a lot of mention towards The Wizard of Oz.
Is it?
Yeah. Because it's Via's favourite film, because she used to watch it with her grandmother quite a lot, because it's mentioned that, she goes and visits her quite a lot, and Grandma says, "Oh, you're my favourite," and all this. There's a very strong connection.
See, I thought it was, because I thought it was, I might be wrong, maybe I'm making it up, I thought that in the book it was The Sound of Music, and in the film it's The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, is it? That's a good point, maybe it is. I'll have to have a look in the book.
50% certain, could be making it up in my head like I tend to do though.
Maybe, because it's in Via's chapter, isn't it?
It's in Via's chapter. It's also the movie that they watch at the movie
camp. They watch, because I bring it up because when they watch the movie, Jack, Will and Augie go, this movie's old and boring, let's not be here and watch it. Which is kind of different to how they do it in the book. In the book it's just, hey man, I need to pee. Yeah. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter too much. Kind of the only point I was going to bring up was kind of this difference between old and new, essentially, and kind of like the technology, what they use in the film, and compared to more older stuff. Like the thing that brought to my mind was in the film where, because August's mum wants to, write her thesis, her dissertation, essentially, and she goes, "I'll try and get it off of this," and she brings out a floppy disk, and the kids go like, "What the hell's that?" And she's like, "Well, it's like an iPhone, except it can't call people, blah blah blah. It's just got a lot of information."
Yeah, it's Stone Age technology to us now, isn't it? A floppy disk.
Yeah. And that kind of made me depressed.
Yeah.
When they're like, we don't know what that is. It's just a blue thing with a silver thing.
Well, it's interesting, and even the book was written before Minecraft.
Yes, and then they have Jack, Will and August befriending each other. Yeah, befriending each other by messaging each other on their Minecraft.
Yeah, because in the book it's more over a kind of MSN Messenger kind of thing, which of course has died a death since in 2012. That was the height of AOL and MSN Messenger.
Would you say it was the height of it? I'd say it's definitely getting the decline.
Or it was still being used by kids that age.
Yeah, before the book came out, yes.
Yeah, we were growing out of it, but it was still a thing, and then...
Yeah, there's references to the Nintendo Wii as well in the film, which I found quite weird, because that's quite old now.
Yeah.
And the fact they mention, David Bowie, Space Oddity, Major Tom, that's what, what's her name, calls Augie because of his NASA helmet. What have you? What's her name?
Miranda.
Miranda, thank you. Yes, what Miranda calls Augie in it, and it's like, how do you know don't know what a floppy disk is, yet you know what David Bowie is? Because I've known people our age who's David Bowie? I don't know who you're on about.
Yeah, so these are bad people. They should be discounted from life.
They absolutely should be, but there's just kind of those interesting parallels I found just between more newer stuff and then older stuff and how it compares between the two, the book and the film.
Yeah, definitely, and it's interesting that a lot of those kind of exist because of the mere 6-year time gap between the film and the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I don't know why I want to bring this up, but it's just something that annoyed me about the book and the film, and it seems to be haunting me in everything I read lately.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a trope that annoys you. The perfect English teacher trope. Every single book that I seem to be reading, especially teen fiction, always has like the English teacher is the most kind and caring and compassionate character, and I wouldn't have got through high school if it wasn't for Mr. Tuckus and his amazing English classes teaching me all about... Do you know what I mean?
Kind of.
Served a point in the book and did it well, but does that not annoy you? Is that just me being a grouch again?
I've got to admit, it didn't really annoy me. I didn't really pay much attention to it, to be quite honest.
Really?
Yeah, no, sorry, mate.
I think it's one of those things that now that I'm pointed out, you're going to notice it.
Probably so, yeah. I'll pay more attention to it, but yeah.
It's just in so many, particularly books I've been reading lately. I reread The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and they're all like mad into how good their English teacher is, and I feel like it's just writers kind of stroking themselves off going, yep, English is the best subject, I like the reading people.
Oh, right. So do you see it as that, or more the fact that those writers really liked their English teachers because
maybe
of that, so they just want to maybe thank them in their own way and be
sure.
like, yeah, English teachers
were
cool, they were the nicest ones to me when I had these problems such and such, they were always ones I could rely on because I had books and so did they.
Maybe it's like a write what you know kind of thing. They're obviously they're obviously passionate about English, so why wouldn't they love English teachers and want to write about them?
Which I found quite cool. There was science lessons in the film, and going back to that, and you see him doing experiments because Oggy is very much more science focused than English focused. So I liked that difference between them anyway.
It's just that in Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is a book I absolutely adore, the exact same thing. They the main character kind of has this close relationship with his English teacher and has to keep sending him essays out of class and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're putting it to that point, to that, I could definitely see where you're coming from, but not so much for Wonder necessarily.
I just feel like it's a trope that's getting increasingly common lately. In the same kind of way as how movies that win Oscars tend to be movies about movies.
Yeah, sure.
Because film critics think the most important thing in the world is film, you know. I feel
stroking their own ego, essentially, I
feel like it's something that's bubbling up around writers and the writing kind of industry at the moment. Writers just want to writing about writing.
Oh, God. It's like writeception.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've seen both the book and the film criticised for that I'd be interested to know your perspective on is, all stories of this type I've noticed tend to get this kind of criticism, and I don't personally think it's that fair, but they get called kind of emotionally manipulative.
Yeah,
because obviously, like we said about the dog dying or something, if you've got a little kid with a facial deformity, how are you supposed to not feel emotionally affected by that? You've kind of been held emotionally ransom.
Sure.
And people say that it's a cheating way to elicit an emotional response.
Sure, but if you didn't have the book about Oggy with a facial deformity, then you wouldn't have a story. That's kind of the hook, if that's the criticism we're going for, the emotional hook, and purposely doing so, then that's kind of the whole point of the film. If it was just a random tangential element that just came in and did that, I can see the point of it. For the film's case, where we're on about him getting bullied and then we're going to be friends, that song, that I can see where it's coming from that. But as Oggy himself as the main character, or just those journeys the characters go through, then no, not necessarily. If it just comes out of left field, then I can see that being more applicable.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think that you can't say oh, it's too easy to write a sad story about this topic or that topic, because then it bans people from doing it.
Yeah,
And of course he could write brilliant stories about any kind of horrendous topic.
You can't write any stories about the hero's journey. Well, that's most of fiction gone then, pretty much. Just tropes exist because they're relatively, they're common, obviously, and people keep writing about them, but people could do it in different ways and about different things. It's just another skeleton to repurpose muscle and skin onto, essentially.
Why, though, do you think that it gets... that this kind of criticism keeps coming back to kind of these tragic movies, though? Because I see it all the time in criticisms of anything about a guy in a wheelchair or about a lady with anorexia or whatever the movie happens to be, or the book happens to be. It always seems to get this, you're just playing emotional games, it's just a cheating way to get a cheap cry out of someone. And it's like, is it, though? Or is it real stories of real things that actually really affect people?
And if it comes across as being real and not fake or insidious or anything or any way like that, then sure, why not? If it's well told, then go for it. You can, these things like that can get criticism because it's obviously well known and popular, but it might be that way for a good reason, not for all cases. Things that are popular can be very well criticised for correct reasons, but...
Emoji Movie, 50 Shades of Grey.
Transformers, 50 Shades of Grey,
Minions. There's plenty of massively popular things that deserve lampooning.
Sure. I mean, we're critiquing now, even as we're doing this, absolutely. People should be allowed to do that. I'm not criticising people for being critical, because that's just spiralling out of control otherwise. But people pick and choose their battles, really, don't they? It's fine for these discussions to happen, because then you could probably repurpose that to something else and see where it is being a bit...
So do you think that what you're saying is, do you think that when people kind of attack movies of this type for being kind of emotionally manipulative, do you think that they're kind of just bandwagon bashing?
In some cases, or it's something that they see from their own perspective, but obviously someone reading that could then go, oh, well, that's the case then for these films, or this book, or what have you. It's just that flow of information, necessarily. I see it as students desperately trying to write an essay, an English essay, and then trying to fit any theory around it any way, shape or form. Doing point, evidence, explain. Because you can do that with, English or any other form of creative medium or anything like that, as long as you have those three things, you can make an argument for anything, necessarily.
Yeah, totally. They just look at... I think you might be onto something there. It's just people, especially these days in the kind of era of everyone has to get their opinions onto their YouTube channel or onto the blog, they desperately need to review things and they maybe want to stand out, then they might be kind of trying to make a case for a criticism.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. People should be allowed to do that and totally have their opinions. That's what I think about that.
Cool.
What would you say you agree necessarily, or would you have any more points for that?
I don't know. I think that...
Or you just...
In terms of points about the book and the movie and their comparisons, I'm kind of starting to run on empty. There's little bits and bobs that I still wanted to say, but nothing huge. It's kind of anecdotal little stuff. I think that to name this kid August is the most cruel and weird thing you could possibly do.
Why?
Because his life's hard enough, man.
What's wrong with August?
It's just a weird name, isn't it?
I don't know. It's not like he's being called Chardonnay or Lambrini or any other cheap alcohol.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Or Lamborghini. That's like, if it's called that, then that'd be...
I wish my name was Lamborghini. That'd be great.
No, don't be silly.
No, I don't know. It annoyed me in the book. It double annoyed me in the film. I just feel like if I had a kid... In fact, one sec. If I had a kid with mardibulofacial dialosis...
Would you like to have another take of that?
I don't know how you say it. If I had a kid with that, I'd call him like Mike or John. I wouldn't call him something... He already is going to stand out, do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Bad parents.
I don't think they're bad parents for that. Even if my kid did have bulofacial dystosis, I wouldn't feel that No. I don't think it's that bad of a name, Billy.
Fair enough, maybe just me.
Mm.
But the other thing, they let him have like a Jedi Padawan rat tail thing.
Yeah, the braid. In Star Wars, what they have to show that you're a
Don't do
Jedi
that.
apprentice. Well, he wanted to do it.
Yeah, but like even.
And he cuts it off because he gets made fun.
Well, that's the thing. Even a perfectly normal, even an amazingly handsome-looking kid would get bullied for wearing a rat tail to school. Surely they should be on like damage control at this point. This kid should have like the best hairstyle in the world, right? And like they should be spending like hundreds of pounds on the sickest clothes.
It's American, Billy. They've spent all their money for his bloody operations.
That is an excellent point. That is an expensive kid.
It's an expensive child. They don't have money, even though they somehow do, for a nice house and food and pets and what have you.
Yeah. I don't know, like I say, I'm running on empty with my criticisms. It's minor gripes that are making mountains out of molehills.
Yeah, sure.
But if we're doing Billy's horrendous nitpicks segment.
Yeah, let's go to Billy's horrendous nitpicks segment.
Right. The plague thing.
Yeah.
There's this plot line, it's a really cruel kind of bullying that the whole class does to August, where they won't touch him.
And they've got the fear of getting the plague, so they would end up looking like him.
Yeah, they've got this game that if they touch him, they'll get like cooties or whatever. And they call it the plague. Effective part of the story.
Yeah.
Really made you feel for August. American kids can't say plague. they say plague.
Plague.
And it really irritated me throughout the whole movie. Every single time, like, oh no, he's gonna catch the plague. What does the plague say? Plague.
Oh, well, it's how they say aluminium. They can't say that either. So
aluminum doesn't annoy me as much.
Doesn't it?
No, I'm okay with that. Okay. And the thing is, I'm not even against Americanisms. Like, my dad gets annoyed at me all the time for saying American words.
Oh, yeah.
You know, saying figure it out instead of work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't mind
American instead of suffer.
Yeah, I don't mind Americanisms. They're fine. I do mind plague.
Plague. Can't say I noticed plague all that much, to be honest.
It really wound me up.
Oh, alright.
I got unnecessarily angry about that.
Fair enough. So what do you think? Are you ready to answer the question?
Absolutely. I think I'm going to let you go first, though.
Oh no, I was hoping you would go first.
Oh, if you want me to go first,
no, it's okay. I'll just run down my thought process. Before we started recording, I was more pro-film than I was pro-book. Yeah, I like the book, but I just think the film just takes the central focus and plot of the book and expands upon it better and just makes it a bit more interesting and has that depth mostly has that depth what the book has and just is quite faithful to it, which I thought it worked well. I was done relatively interesting just in its style and just those cinematic elements, and I appreciated it for that. But in discussing some of its more weaker aspects and being a bit like, and the book's kind of gone up perhaps a little bit more than I came into here talking about it with, so I'm a bit half and half with it, to be quite honest.
So you've changed your mind slightly as we've discussed it?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I've changed my mind slightly on it, yeah, definitely.
Right. I agree with you that the film really effectively took all the important bits, all the best bits, and made a really good movie out of the central conceit of the book.
Yeah.
I think the movie was as good as it possibly could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
With the exception of a few kind of...
Yeah, like 90% or so it's effective.
There's a couple of cheesy moments, a couple of bad lines, and a few, like, bad music choices.
Yeah.
And a bit of a lack of directorial atmosphere, but generally it was the best adaptation we could possibly have hoped for from the book.
Yeah.
But I think the book was better. I think there was far more to the book. I think that... you just got a greater sense of why the characters felt the way that they did. And I just found myself way more invested in it. And maybe that's because I read the book first and then saw the film. But all I can say is that the book, in a couple of moments, emotionally affected me and choked me up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the film, I just kind of watched it.
Did you? I had a bit of a reaction to the film.
Yeah?
Yeah, I definitely did. Not like, I'm not a blubbering mess, but definitely a response to the film, definitely. It's about probably the same amount as I would for the book, in all fairness, but that's just my emotional core of my brain. But, so if you prefer the book, then I would say I'd agree, though only slightly.
Oh yeah,
I was ready to say I think the film's better beforehand, but yeah, from our conversation, I think the book is better, though not by a
There's
great
not as much
deal.
in it as I thought there would
No.
be. I remember when I finished the book, I remember thinking, this film's gonna suck.
I was quite positive about the film.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it surprised me, the film, and there's not much in it. Well, it's not like when we did a episode on the murder on the Orient Express, which has unfortunately been lost to time. Yeah. That was like miles difference to me. The book was much better.
Yeah.
This is different. This is, I'll take either one. I'm glad both of them exist.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend both. I think both are worth your time, though if you only to have one, I would just say the book, just probably by a fraction more.
I mean, basically, it would be if you're a reader, read it. If you're not a reader, if you're a film guy, watch it. You'll get the same experience.
You'll get roughly the same emotional journey through these characters.
And it's not one of these where the differences are so glaring or there's anything wrong with it, where you'd feel like someone was getting a cheaper or a different experience by taking one version over the other.
Yeah, exactly.
So essentially what we've done is barely answer the question.
We've barely answered the question, yes.
Thanks for taking an hour out of your life.
Thanks.
To listen to us not do our job.
The hour that we've stolen is now ours. We're just feeding on all of your life
We'll
forces.
add it to our lifespan.
Yes. Just in the jar, the life jar over there.
Oh no. I mean, to be fair, we've probably only stolen a few hours from our editor Catherine, who also happens to be our one subscriber on YouTube.
Oh, Catherine. I'm sorry.
She's the fan.
Oh, bless.
Oh no. We'll pick up some steam, I'm sure. We'll get it shared around. I've enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, this has been a pleasure as always, Billy. Do we know what we're recording for next time?
Well, we haven't discussed it, have we? We came up with a bunch of ideas, but we've not done anything concrete.
I have a suggestion.
Okay. I suggested this one.
Oh,
so
yes, you did.
It's your turn.
Actually. I would like to suggest Annihilation, the Jeff Vandermeer novel and the film about to launch on Netflix in a week or two in the UK.
Sweet.
It's already out in the US, but theatrically. And it's over here, like middle of March or so I think that'd be a really good choice.
Nice one. I'm down for that. I don't know anything about it.
It's been on my to-read list for a while, so that's a good excuse for me to read it and then, to watch it, or vice versa. I'm not sure which I would do first, actually, to be honest. I don't know whether to watch it, then read, or read them.
Well, I'll probably order the book on Amazon tonight and try and get it read before it comes out, personally, but we'll see.
How about then, if you want to read then watch it, and how about I watch then read it?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
see if we got different perspectives
from that perspective,
I like it. I'm glad that you had something in mind, because I was going to say it's I chose Murder on the Orient Express and Wonder.
Let's go.
So it's only fair that it's your turn.
Sure, let's go for Annihilation.
Nice.
I think that'll be a good one to do.
Excellent. Well, that's what you can look forward to next week.
Next week?
Next time.
Next 2 weeks? Next time on Is the Book Better?
Absolutely. We've got an outro that we tend to clumsily clunk through. I don't remember exactly how it goes.
Steam engines of soda. Yes.
Of words and sound.
that emanate from our mouths. So if you enjoyed this episode of Is the Book Better, feel free to share amongst your friends, like this on YouTube, or possibly subscribe to it if you're listening on any other medium. Maybe subscribe to that feed as well. That'd be very much appreciated.
Yes, we'd love you forever, and we'll send you books.
No, we won't. Shush. I'm Adam. You can follow me on Twitter at The Man of Chan, or on Instagram at The Wardman. Billy, what about yourself?
You can find me on Instagram at Heartogram Hippie, and Twitter's not going to happen for me. I can't use it. It confuses me and frightens me, Twitter. And don't add me on Facebook, because that's creepy.
No, don't do that. I've been thinking about like getting a blog together or something, because I want to write a lot more than I am already for that. So I'll see for like next episode. I might be able to plug that or something.
Yeah, 100%. Sounds cool. Cool. Yeah. All right, and of course we've got an email address.
Yes.
If you want to write into the show, we'd love to hear from you or read out some stuff that you send us if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah. Nothing really from the previous episode, as of recording this, it's only been out for like a day or two.
Yeah,
and much has been.
We're just starting. We've got no fans yet.
No one wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
It's fine. But in case you do, it's isthebookbetter@gmail.com. It's isthebookbetter@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, so send us whatever.
Yeah, comments, suggestions, any corrections, or just insights into what you felt was better at all.
Cool. All right, I think that's the show.
That is the show. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.